Hello, my name is Jacob Rockwell. I'm a librarian at the Central Library in Buffalo, and I'm pleased today to be able to present Under 18 and Applying for Your First Job. As the title suggests, this presentation is geared for people who are under 18 and looking for their first job. It's a very important time and a very important process that can help shape your entire life from this very early phase. So in this presentation today, we'll go through what you can expect and how you can best prepare for this very important step in your life. So you may be asking, why is your first job important? Well, for starters, it's your first step into the job market. Most people at your age have never worked anyplace, so this is an important first start. You can start by setting your first impressions with people you meet, and this can enable you to make connections that can lead you to elsewhere in your life. You can, perhaps people you meet can help you in the future get different jobs. You will also, in your first job, learn skills that will make you marketable in the future. And it's important to keep in mind also that your first job is not likely your career. Though some people really like their first job and look into finding their career all at once, for most people, it's just a starting point. Things to consider. You will be entering the job market with little experience. And not to say that you don't know anything, but it's hard to uh, demonstrate your skills without job experience. So finding your first job is not necessarily easy. Some people start by asking their friends and family for recommendations. Sometimes your connections may know of jobs that are opening which are perfect for an entry-level person. It's also a good time for you to explore interests that you may want to investigate. Perhaps you're thinking about a career in a restaurant and you want to experience what it's like to work in a restaurant. Or you're considering perhaps going into manual labor, such as maintenance or gardening. This is a great time for you to try out things and see what works best for you. Another thing you may want to consider as well is looking for volunteering opportunities. Perhaps you're thinking long term and you want a job as a nurse. Well, perhaps you can go volunteer at a nursing home. Or perhaps you're interested in, working in a library, for example. You could try to volunteer at a library. And those volunteer experiences can assist you in showing that you have some skills that you have already developed yourself in some way. So where do you start? Well, the first thing you need to do, since you're under 18, is to get working papers. And this is a document from your local school district that says that you are of certain age, you're enrolled in school, and you're eligible to work. And there are certain guidelines on how many hours you can work and what days you can work accompanied by school. So it's very important. You will definitely need that once you're hired someplace. So it's ideal to get it before you even start applying. Another thing you should do is set your expectations. You are starting your first job, so you're not going to be running a company. You're not going to be the top person. You're going to be probably the lowest person on the totem pole. So be respectful and understand you're not being hired to work to run a place, for instance. You're there to learn and to assist the place you're applying to. And keep in mind also, along that same level, that most first jobs pay minimum wage. And in 2022 in New York State, that's $13.20 per hour. So don't expect your first job to pay you $20 an hour. That's just the reality of it. And you should consider jobs that will be open to people who are entry-level workers. And this could be places such as retail, shopping stores, grocery stores, sales, fast food, or other entry-level sectors. Any place that doesn't require a lot of demonstrable skills. I strongly suggest you write a resume. And this is the best way to promote yourself to an employer and show them that you have skills to share. Though you have little professional experience, there's still important factors that you can include in a resume. You can share skills that you have earned elsewhere. Let's say volunteer work. Say you're a good student and you have special skills you could share. Perhaps you've had private gig jobs, and by that I mean perhaps you've babysat or cut lawn privately. These are things you can add to your resume to make your uh, skills look even more marketable. And you could also share interesting facts about yourself. Do you have hobbies? Do you are you part of any clubs or organizations? These are all things that you can add and make yourself look more marketable. This is an example of a sample high school resume that I found online, which I thought was really good. And anyone could use this as a template. We have the contact information on the side, education, where you're going to high school, information on your coursework, ideas about how you're doing in school with your grades, a short paragraph about your career objectives, listing of volunteer experience, and then a listing of your clubs and special awards you might have gotten. Now, not everyone has all of this to share. You don't have to include all this information, but this is a very good example of what a high school resume could look like. If you just think about it and put a little effort into it, you can certainly come up with one of these for yourself as well. If you need assistance with this, we could certainly help you at the library with a book a librarian appointment as well. So basically, you want to start by searching for a job. Once you have your working papers and you're ready to go, you want to start searching. And the best way to search is often word of mouth. Like I said, if you know somebody who knows of a job that's opening or knows somebody who's already working, perhaps you have an older sibling who works someplace, maybe they can get you in and help you land that job. The other things you can do is look at newspapers, online and social media platforms, which often share information about openings. But the best way is often just to go to the locations in person and apply for jobs. And this is a great time to bring that resume that we just talked about. Not everyone does this, and it will certainly make you stand out. Even though you bring the resume, they may still ask you to fill out an application, which is fine, but that resume makes you look more serious than somebody who doesn't have a resume. And if you fill out the application, make sure you proofread. You don't want spelling errors or punctuation errors. It's important that you show you can fill out a form well without any errors. Once you apply for the job and they find you, they think you might be an interesting candidate, they'll invite you for an interview. And you need to prepare for the interview. You don't want to show up unprepared. And keep in mind, this will be a direct conversation between you and the person at the organization, basically to discuss your qualities and abilities and how that will enhance the workplace and how you might be a good addition to that. One important thing to keep in mind is that you need to be prepared to talk about yourself. If you're uncomfortable talking about yourself, that's just something you're going to have to overcome because they want to know about you. And the last thing you want to do is just sit there with yes and no answers and make yourself seem uninteresting. Another thing you can do to prepare for the interview is do research and know about the place you're interviewing for. If you're interviewing for a fast food restaurant, know what it is that they sell. Know how long they've been around. You could know things about how many employees they have. These are all things that will make you seem like a better candidate for that position. Then when the time for the interview comes, you definitely want to keep these things in mind. You want to dress appropriately. I'm not saying you need to wear a suit and tie to your interview, but if you dress nicely, you'll stand out. You certainly don't want to show up in shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops. You're just not going to look serious. When you're in the interview, remember to keep eye contact. I'm not saying stare at the person the entire time, but don't stare at the floor either. You want to make sure that you're engaging with the person interviewing you. And once again, be prepared to talk about yourself. you want to share and discuss. If you're asked a question, make sure your answer isn't yes or no. It could be a yes or no as a starting point, but make sure you follow that up with a good sentence of how you can help enhance the place. Share how you can use your skills to enhance the organization. And after the interview is over, a follow-up thank you note is a nice touch. Not something you need to do, but it certainly is nice. And often you find out very soon whether you'll be considered or not. And we can certainly help along the way. Like I mentioned earlier, we have one-on-one book librarian sessions, and we can help you prepare your resume or help you do your job search. And we also offer 1-hour book a tech trainer sessions if you need help with your computer skills. Of course, we also have books on creating resumes, job searching, interviewing, and much more. So if you need our help, don't hesitate to reach out. It's free and it's available to anyone, 716-858-8900, or you can go to our website, www.buffalolib.org. Thank you again for joining us today. Good luck with your job search, and we hope it turns out very well for you. And once again, we are here to help you, so do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you again, and best of luck in your job search.